Regular meeting number 53 will now come to order. Please stand for the playing of the national anthem. Councilmember Tyson, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This evening, council is pleased to be joined by Pastor Dale Tucker, senior pastor at Tri-Stone Missionary Baptist Church. Pastor, welcome back to council. We appreciate you being here with us this evening.
Thank you. Let us pray. God, we say thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity to come as humble servants and residents of this great city of Columbus, Ohio. We come praying and asking for your guidance in all that we do and say. We ask for continued peace and unity among the neighborhoods and the citizens of the city. We ask, God, that even now, as we come to seek your direction as we discuss matters of your people, we pray that all things will be done decent and in order. In the matchless name we pray, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. Clerk, please call the roll.
Brown, Page, Remy, Stenziano, Tyson, President Harden. Any person who takes any actions to obstruct or interfere with the conduct of tonight's meeting may be charged with disturbing a lawful meeting pursuant to Columbus City Code 2317.12. Any person who enters those areas of city council chambers reserved for city officials or invited guests may be charged with criminal trespass pursuant to Columbus City Code 2311.21.
Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal? Please call the roll.
Brown, Page, Remy, Stenziano, Tyson, President Harden.
This week's communication received by the city clerk's office are listed in the bulletin on the agenda and will be published in the city bulletin. Are there any other communications to be read in the record?
Not at this time.
Are there resolutions by members of council? Councilmember Elizabeth Brown.
Thank you, President Harden. I do have one resolution tonight, and I'd like to invite Tim Maloney, please, to the podium, the Executive Director of Metro Parks. Resolution 0310X-2018 to support the passage of the Columbus and Franklin County Metro Parks levy. Thank you for being here tonight, Executive Director Maloney. The Metro Park system is a great asset for all residents of Columbus and Central Ohio to enjoy. And if anyone listening hasn't visited a park recently, I strongly encourage you to make a trip soon. None of them are to be missed, and you do an excellent job maintaining and advancing these gems in our region. There are plenty of options to choose from with more than 27,700 acres of parkland and more than 230 miles of greenway trails. The Metro Parks' mission to conserve open spaces while providing opportunities for people to discover and experience nature is an important one. We have one of the best Metro Park systems in the country thanks to strong leadership and planning. And this levy on the ballot this fall will facilitate continued expansion and improvement. Director Collins, I also know that the Metro Park system continue to be a great partner with your department, especially with the regional trail system. So I'd like to give you a moment to add anything if you'd like.
Thank you, Chair Brown, President, Council, members of Council. We appreciate the opportunity to speak in support of Metro Parks. They are an incredible partner. As you mentioned, the resources they bring to our region are absolutely imperative, not just to the health and wellness and conservation efforts, but also to the economic impact of our region. We work closely with Metro Parks in the stewardship of the acreage and land around our region, as well as the City of Columbus, and specifically, as you mentioned, on our regional greenways trails. We have 120 miles of greenways trails that we operate in the City of Columbus, but we couldn't do it without the partnership that we have with Metro Parks. It's an absolute critical role that they play in the City of Columbus, so we appreciate everything and are supportive of their efforts.
Thank you, Director Collins. And with that, I will turn the microphone over to you, Director Maloney.
President Hardin, members of council, thank you very much. Just for the audience, because those of you who know me know nobody likes talking about Metro Parks more than me, but I will be very brief. Who would have ever thought 70 years ago the Columbus Dispatch would write an article about how ridiculous of an idea it is to build a park so far out on a 2-lane gravel road called Livingston Avenue that no one would ever go to this park, and who would have thought of this idea? And that park would be Blacklick Woods, which is celebrating its 70th birthday Saturday. Shameless plug, we're having a big birthday party, free cake for everybody, come on out. But really, we don't exist, and Mr. Collins mentioned it perfectly, without our partnerships. And standing in front of this council, there's no greater partner we've had in our existence than the City of Columbus. And you can talk about Three Creeks, you can talk about Rocky Fork, you can go a little bit into the future with Quarry Trails coming online here in a year or two. The relationship between the two entities has gone on. I wasn't around that 70 years ago, but I imagine the City of Columbus had a lot to do with the opening of Blacklick Woods, and we look forward to many more years of doing joint projects throughout Central Ohio. And thanks again for the audience, and thank you for the resolution.
Thank you so much, Director Maloney. Is there anything my colleagues would have to add? Seeing nothing else, I'd like to move for adoption of the resolution.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Brown, Page, Remy, Stenziano, Tyson, President Harden.
Adopted. Councilmember Brown, Mitch Brown, Councilmember Remy, Councilmember Page.
Thank you, President Hardin. I do have a resolution this evening, Resolution 0304X-2018, to recognize Nationwide Children's Hospital Columbus Marathon for celebrating racing in the community, exceptional fundraising, and groundbreaking research. As I read, Mr. Darius Blackford has come to the podium. Thank you so much, and he is the race director. And just a couple of facts about this wonderful marathon. Nationwide Children's Hospital is honored to be the title beneficiary for the Columbus Marathon and Half Marathon. And 2018 marks the 7th year of the strong partnership. So far, $7 million has been raised for the hospital, and this includes more than $800,000 contributed by the Board of Directors. And also, the marathon will take place this Sunday, October 21st, here in the heart of our capital city, and we are so happy to have you this evening. If there are no further questions or comments from my colleagues, I first move for adoption of this resolution.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Brown, Page, Remy, Stenziano, Tyson, President Harden.
Adopted.
Director Blackford, the floor is now yours.
Thank you. President Hardin, members of council, thank you so much. I don't want to have to follow the same commentary, but partnerships are what our event is also all about. As you mentioned, our partnership with Nationwide Children's Hospital is now, we're heading into our 8th year, and I'm proud to say we've already gone over the $1 million mark this year, and we haven't even held the event. So it's just such a wonderful opportunity that we can partner with such a great community asset like Nationwide Children's Hospital. Also, I want to thank Director Collins and the Columbus Recreation and Parks Department for their partnership. We couldn't put this event on without being able to utilize the wonderful parks here, including North Bank Park. It's interesting, too, when we hear about the Metro Parks, those 120 trails, runners and walkers are using those every weekend throughout the year to prepare for this event, and we're just so thankful to have the wonderful community asset like that. I also need to bring up a very important partnerships that we have with the Columbus Police and Columbus Fire. I had a meeting on Friday. We have a pretty big meeting of a lot of people that are much more in tune with safety and security than I am, with all the police and fire and Homeland Security and FBI. And they told me that this is important to them, not because it's their jobs, but because it's their community. And that really touched me, because in this day and age, so many people sometimes seem to be mailing it in, going through the motions, but they care, and it makes me feel so wonderful that we're going to have 18,000 people in our community under the eyes and the watch of our Columbus Police and Fire. So with that, I'll ask if there's any questions.
Thank you. Congratulations. And President Hardin, I do have an announcement this evening. Lori Tyak, she's a clerk of the Franklin County Municipal Court, has joined us this evening and would like to share with all of us some programs that are being offered to residents of the city of Columbus through the court. Thank you so much for joining us this evening, Clerk Tyak.
Thank you, Councilmember Page, for inviting me here this evening. Good evening, President Hardin, President Pro Tem Stinziano, Council members Tyson, Remy, Brown, and Brown. I'd like to share a little bit of information with you about an exciting driver's license clinic that's coming up this Friday, October 19th, from 1 to 4 p.m. The Franklin County Municipal Court Clerk's Office and OLAF, the Ohio Legal Assistance Foundation, are partnering to offer assistance to those with driver's license suspension issues. Across the state of Ohio, there are more than 3.3 million active suspensions. In Franklin County alone, there are more than 370,000 drivers with suspended licenses. This clinic is a precursor to a BMV driver's license reinstatement workshop, which will be held next spring, April 4th, 5th, and 6th. The workshop will assist drivers with the BMV amnesty program, which is provided in House Bill 336. I have spoken to a few BMV representatives who indicated that the program will not be ready until mid-February of next year, so I do plan to come back and discuss that exciting workshop with you. The goal of our clinic this Friday is to provide guidance and assistance to those who qualify for driver's license reinstatement services. Volunteer attorneys will assist participants in a step-by-step process. The clerk's office will accept payments for court costs and fines and will provide access to the BMV online reinstatement website. Other agencies providing services at the upcoming clinic include the Ohio Bureau of Motor Vehicles reinstatement staff. They will be looking up driver's abstracts to be able to advise the attorneys what steps those individuals need to take to get their licenses back. The Ohio State Bar Association will be providing volunteer attorneys. The Legal Aid Society of Columbus, volunteer attorneys and paralegals. The Franklin County Municipal Court Self-Help Resource Center will be playing an important role in this clinic and in the workshop that's scheduled for next year. They've been wonderful to partner with us in many initiatives in the clerk's office on behalf of the court, and I just want you to know how much I appreciate them and all the work that they do. The Franklin County Court of Common Pleas Domestic Relations Juvenile Division will be participating. Franklin County Municipal Court judges, magistrates, and the Probation Department. The Columbus City Attorney's Office, thank you very much, Laura Baker. The Franklin County Public Defender's Office, Franklin County Office of Justice and Policy and Programs, AA Affordable Insurance Agency for those individuals that need to show proof of insurance before they can get their licenses back. The Franklin County Jobs and Family Services will be providing financial assistance for qualified individuals that may cover some of their reinstatement costs. So we're very excited about those funds that might be available. We encourage pre-registration. Individuals can go online to www.olaf.org/license reinstatement /CLE LD equals 1. /OLAF, you should be able to find some mention of the program. You may also visit in person with the Franklin County Municipal Court Self-Help Resource Center located at 375 South High Street on the 6th floor between 9 a.m. and 2:30 p.m. or the Legal Aid Society of Columbus located at 1108 City Park Avenue. Thank you so much for allowing me to share this important public service with you tonight. I appreciate your time and your attention. Do you have any questions?
Thank you so much, Clerk Tyack, for coming down this evening and for the work that you do in the community.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all I have, President Harden.
Thank you, Councilmember Page. President Pro Tem.
Thank you, President Harden. Tonight, just wanted to make a brief announcement that on Thursday, October 25th, from 11 a.m. to noon at the Central Community House, I'll be hosting a roundtable discussion focused on the issue of rising property taxes and the concern we're hearing from some of our seniors about the impact it has for them to stay in their neighborhoods, and have a discussion about options to assist them that can be spearheaded by the city. I think we heard a lot of feedback at our recent community forum. I know I've heard it on a couple of my community hours as well about the concern about that stabilization. So I hope the public will either join us or help promote the event, as I believe it will certainly set the table for future steps and action by this body. Thank you, President Harden.
Thank you, President Pro Tem. Councilmember Tyson.
Thank you. I have two resolutions this evening. The first is 030X-2018, and I'm going to ask Sue Varillo, the Assistant Vice President of Community-Based Services for Lutheran Social Services, to come to the podium. I want to thank my colleagues for all having on their purple ribbon today. Thank you. And this resolution is to declare October 2018 as the National Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the city of Columbus, and to recognize choices for victims of domestic violence for the efforts to raise awareness of domestic violence prevention in Central Ohio. And whereas domestic violence impacts women, men, and children of every age, background, and belief, nearly 1 in 3 women, 1 in 4 men in the United States have suffered abuse from an intimate partner. And whereas each year 1 in 15 children are exposed to domestic violence, 1/3 of female homicides result from domestic violence committed by an intimate partner in Columbus last year. There were more than 17,259 domestic violence calls. Whereas the prevalence of domestic violence may be diminished by educating and empowering the community to develop and maintain healthy relationships. And whereas Choices for Victims of Domestic Violence has a mission to interrupt the cycle of domestic violence by responding to those in need, educating our community, and advocating for social change. Choices, which is a part of the Lutheran Social Service family of programs and is the only domestic violence safe haven in Franklin County, offering 51 beds, 24-hour crisis and information hotline, counseling services, support groups, and legal and community advocates for those impacted by domestic violence. And whereas Choices has provided safe shelter to over 650 people in the fiscal year of 2017, which equaled nearly 26,011 nights. In addition to the 24-hour hotline, received more than 3,933 calls. Community advocates assisted more than 500 clients. An estimated 250 people were served by counseling program, and over 570 clients received support from legal advocates. Whereas by educating communities on the necessity of developing and maintaining healthy relationships, as well as providing safe shelter and support for those in need, Choices for Victims of Domestic Violence, along with counselors and community and legal advocates, will provide a beacon of hope for those currently in abusive relationships and act as an inspiration to others who are committed to preventing domestic violence. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of Columbus that this council hereby appreciates the importance of preventing domestic violence and does hereby recognize the month of October of 2018 as National Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the City of Columbus. And so I know I have a speaker on this resolution, but Sue, the floor is yours to share as comments regarding your work in terms of Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and also speak to your new facility that's going to be opening soon.
Thank you, Councilmember Tyson. Good evening, President Harden and council members. Thank you also for putting on your purple ribbons tonight. It is the symbol of domestic violence awareness, and we appreciate you helping us to bring attention to this important issue. Also, thank you for the resolution in recognition of LSS Choices for Victims of Domestic Violence and the important role we play in the safety of the Columbus community. As you said, October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. It is a nationwide effort to educate the community about this pervasive social problem. Domestic violence impacts people from all walks of life. It does not discriminate based on socioeconomic status, religion, race, educational background, or nationality. As Councilmember Tyson said, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men will experience domestic violence in their lifetime. Every day in the United States, 3 women are murdered by a current or former intimate partner. That means 93 deaths of women, mothers, sisters, friends, daughters, in the month of October alone, Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We must continue to talk about this epidemic, to identify it as the crime that it is, and to assure victims that help is available. LSS Choices for Victims of Domestic Violence exist to provide safety and services to victims and survivors. We offer a variety of services to meet the unique needs of each family. Our crisis hotline, answered 24 hours a day, provides immediate access to Choices programming, referrals to our community partners, safety planning, and emotional support. And as you know, this is the only domestic violence shelter in Franklin County. It is old and undersized. The shelter currently has 51 beds, and we average more than 70 people every single night. LSS Choices new shelter is being built right now, and we hope to be in by the end of this calendar year. The shelter capacity increases from 51 beds to 120, which is just one feature of the new shelter, really designed to create an environment that is dignified and provide healing for the families coming to us for services. In addition to the shelter and hotline, Choices provides community advocacy, individual counseling, legal advocacy, and peer support groups throughout Columbus. These programs combined served about 4,000 Franklin County residents last year. Domestic violence is a pervasive community problem and requires the involvement of the entire community to respond. The City Council's commitment to protecting victims of domestic violence is evident in your support of Choices and your courage to enact sensible gun legislation, setting an example for the rest of Ohio. It is with deep gratitude that I accept this resolution and appreciation for the support and dedication of the City of Columbus and the Columbus City Council for their leadership in addressing domestic violence and recognizing the work of LSS Choices.
Thank you, Sue. And before I can present a resolution to you, I have a speaker on this resolution, Representative Bernadine Kennedy Kent, and please come to the podium. You can just scoot to the side. Thank you. Please state your name and who you represent.
Thank you. Good evening, President Hardin and City Council members. My name is Bernadine Kennedy Kent. I am the Ohio State Representative for District 25. I appreciate the opportunity to speak in support of declaring October 2018 as National Domestic Violence Awareness Month in the City of Columbus and recognizing Choices for their efforts to raise awareness for domestic violence prevention in Central Ohio. As Council may know, I sponsored House Bill 137. This legislation seeks to mandate county and municipal peace officers to report child abuse and neglect. Currently, Ohio stands alone as the only state to not make peace officers mandated reporters. Officers in Ohio have the opportunity to interact with children in a number of all situations. There is an officer in nearly every high school and library. In 2016, Ohio officers were called to homes on domestic violence runs alone almost 80,000 times. Many of those times, children were present. Making peace officers mandated reporters when they see or suspect child abuse and neglect will enable officers to report these early warning signs to social service agencies so they can act before too much harm is inflicted. Identifying these cases early and getting provisions in place is extremely important to the overall health and future of the child. With the passing of the House Bill 137 into law, Ohio will have approximately another 35,000 people who have an eye on our children and will be mandated reporters of child abuse and neglect. It is another layer of protection sorely needed when you become aware of the thousands upon thousands of times police are called to the homes of domestic violence victims. House Bill 137 will ensure that officers are trained to say something if they see something, and if they see a little one present, they will be all the way conscious about what that little one is hearing and seeing and possibly experiencing themselves. Thank you again for declaring October National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and on behalf of my constituency, I too appreciate the work Choices is doing on behalf of the victims of domestic violence. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Kent, for coming down and sharing your comments in regards to Choices and also your work on House Bill 137. Thank you so much. And so now I would move for adoption of the resolution for Domestic Violence Awareness Month presented at Choices. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember.
She seconded.
Oh, thank you.
Brown, Page, Remy, Stenziano, Tyson, President Harden. My next resolution is resolution number 0309X-2018, and I'm going to ask Kimberly Hall and her board members to come to the podium. And this resolution is to commemorate the Olive Tree Foundation for Girls as it celebrates its 5th anniversary of providing services to young women. Whereas the Olive Tree Foundation for Girls, OTFG, a nonprofit organization, was created to help young, talented women realize and achieve their unique potential for success via mentoring, scholarships, and enrichment programs. Whereas the Olive Tree Foundation for Girls was founded in July of 2014 by Ms. Kimberly Lowell Hall, a 1991 graduate of Columbus School for Girls. Kimberly attended CSG for 6 years on a full scholarship. However, her unique experiences as a student from a family with limited resources inspired her to establish an organization designed to help talented young women from similar backgrounds to thrive in private school settings. And whereas the OTFG Scholars Program provides group enrichment activities which help young women develop positive self-images, character, and resiliency. In this mentoring program, students participate in monthly group sessions that address self-esteem, career exploration, financial literacy, drug and alcohol abuse, healthy relationships, bullying and peer pressure, time management, and social etiquette. And whereas the OTFG incidental scholarships provide critical funding needed to offset the cost of private school expenses not covered by traditional financial aid at many private schools. The annual cost for incidental items such as uniforms, books, class trips, athletics, and technology can exceed $2,500 per student. This can often be devastating for young women and families with limited resources. Moreover, the pressure of meeting these financial expectations can, and in some cases, impact the self-esteem and academic success of young women. And whereas the OTFG priority goals for 2018-19 academic year include recruiting and enrolling at least 15 CSG students in the 4th cohort of the OTFG Scholars Program, and raising at least $50,000 in corporate and individual donations to help increase scholarship, award amounts, and expand mentoring program activities. And whereas the Olive Tree Foundation for Girls will be celebrating its 5th anniversary providing services to young women. Moreover, since the founding in 2014, 27 young women have participated in the mentoring program. 10 young women have graduated and continued their education at the college level, and nearly $60,000 in scholarships have been awarded. Be it resolved by this council of the City of Columbus that this council does hereby commemorate the Olive Tree Foundation for Girls as celebrates its 5th anniversary of providing services to young women. I move for adoption.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Page, Remy, Stenziano, Tyson, President Harden.
Adopted.
Thank you. Ms. Hall, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Harden and council members. Really just deeply appreciate this honor, and especially want to recognize Councilwoman Tyson for leading this effort around elevating the profile of the work needed for our young women in our community. I am humbled to receive this resolution on behalf of Olive Tree and indebted to my board members for their support. Glenda Harrison, Chrissy Fenner have been just great partners in this work as we work to remove non-academic barriers to academic success for young women at Columbus School for Girls and hopefully beyond. So really just look forward to continuing on in this wonderful line of work with you and others around this table. Thank you.
Ms. Hall, certainly want to recognize who's on the dais here, Councilmember Liza Page, who also is an alum of CSG. But I really want to commend you for your work. We've met. She is also the Senior Vice President, General Counsel at Columbus State Community College. But as our Commission on Black Girls, it's very important that we hear from all of our girls in our community. So not only the girls who attend Columbus City schools, but girls who are in charter schools, girls who are in private schools, to be able to hear from each and every one of them. And as you know, even though some girls have more privilege than other girls, there's still the issues that I read about in this particular resolution. There's bullying, there's self-esteem, there's other issues that our girls face in our community. And so it's very important that all voices are heard. And so I thank Ms. Hall for her work and her board for this work to understand there was a need, even though our girls have access because they're so bright and talented to be able to attend a CSG. There's still certain issues and challenges that girls face, and that you saw a need and your board saw this need and have 5 years ago and are making a difference in the lives of girls. So I thank you for your leadership. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Tyson. I'm going to ask Scott Myers and Mr. Skip Salome to come up. Scott Myers is Executive Director of the Ohio Quarter Horse Association, and Skip is the Congress Tri-Chair. I have Resolution 0298X-2018 is to recognize and celebrate the 52nd All-American Quarter Horse Congress. The first annual All-American Quarter Horse Congress was held in Columbus in 1967, and since then has become the largest single breed horse show in the entire world. The All-American Quarter Horse Congress draws over 650,000 visitors to the city of Columbus and contributes around $382 million to our local Columbus economy. $382 million. Be it resolved that the Columbus City Council commends the All-American Quarter Horse Congress for their continued success and contributions to our city. Folks know that I have a strong affinity for the Congress. Growing up, my dad raised American Quarter Horses, and we spent many days and nights at the Congress. I had the pleasure of attending this weekend and being a part of the crowning of the new queen, Congress Queen, and learning all that went into her ascension to the throne. We really are just very appreciative of the Quarter Horse Congress. The impact that it has on the city, we really can't overstate the economic impact, but also we're always wanting to tell the story of Columbus, and you bringing 650,000 people into our community over the 3 or 4 weeks that you're here means that we now have 650,000 new ambassadors to talk about and that experienced our city. My hope is always, and when I see you guys, I ask, were we welcoming? We want to make sure that we're laying out that type of engagement for you guys so that you can always enjoy and know that the city is behind you and that we're good partners. Are there any comments? I want to pass this and then I'll turn it over to. You want to say something, Councilmember Tyson?
Thank you, President Harden. I just want to say thank you. I mean, the economic impact to our community is just significant. You know, this contribution helps our city in significant ways, but certainly around things I care about is health and human services and the arts, et cetera, that bringing people to our city, being able to have these funds support these community needs in our community and help to enhance the quality of life for our community cannot be, you know, understated. So I thank you for continuing to come to our city each and every year. Just appreciate your work, and I'm just loving those hats you have on too. Let me just state that. But so anyway, thank you for coming to our city each and every year and helping to make our community a better place. Thank you.
See no more questions or comments. Can I get a second? Please call the roll.
Brown, Brown, Page, Remy, Stenziano, Tyson, President Harden.
Resolution adopted. I'm going to turn it over to you, Skip, or to Scott. Sorry.
Well, thank you very much, President Harden, and all the members of City Council for your kind words and very warm welcome. We appreciate it. And as you know, this is the 52nd Annual All-American Quarter Horse Congress, and it's currently underway right here in Columbus, Ohio. The Congress started as a 3-day event at the Ohio Expo Center in 1967, and over the last 52 years, our event has grown to 27 days, bringing 7,500 horses and more than 650,000 people to the Expo Center each year. As the largest horse show in the world, this year riders will compete for over $3 million in prizes and awards. Your support over the years has helped us continue to grow, and we hope that today serves as a reminder of how far we come and what's possible in our future. As you said, last year, this 4-week event generated $382 million in economic impact for the Columbus economy. And over the last 52 years, the Quarter Horse Congress has brought more than 700 million people to Columbus and brought an estimated $7.7 billion in direct and indirect impact to Columbus and the state of Ohio. This year, we moved our headquarters from Richwood, Ohio to Columbus for closer proximity and to expand our presence and support in the Columbus community. We're so appreciative that Columbus has embraced the Congress and embraced the Ohio Quarter Horse Association, and we look forward to continuing to build this great relationship with all of you. So on behalf of the Ohio Quarter Horse Association, thank you again for all that you've done to support the Congress. Without your support, this event would not be what it is today. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you help me recognize the Quarter Horse Congress? Are there any comments by our elected officials, city attorney, city auditor? I see that we have former council member and Judge Eileen Paley in the room this evening. Council member, welcome back, or Judge, welcome back to council. Are there any requests by members of council for the removal of any ordinance or resolution from the consent action portion of the agenda? Seeing none, may I now have a motion to waive reading of the titles of 30-day legislation by the city clerk? Please call the roll.
Brown, Brown, Page, Remy, Stenziano, Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you. Will the clerk now read into the record the ordinance numbers of 30-day legislation on tonight's agenda for first reading?
Finance Committee Ordinance 2775-2018, Public Utilities Committee Ordinances 2626, 2703, 2704, 2734, and 2748-2018. Rules and Reference Committee Ordinance 2647-2018, Zoning Committee Ordinances 2749, 2769, 2786, 2830, and 2835-2018.
I think we have one speaker on the consent. No, we don't. This is for Rec and Parks. I apologize. The following ordinance appear on the agenda as consent action. Will the clerk now read those ordinance numbers into the record?
Resolutions of expression 311X, 303X, 307, 312, and 301X-2018. Finance Committee, ordinances 2370, 2511, 2693, 2765, 2778, 2788-2018. Recreation and Parks Committee, ordinances 2533 and 2534-2018. Public Safety Committee, ordinance 1782-2018. Public Service and Transportation Committee, ordinances 1454 and 2459-2018. Economic Development and Small Business Committee, ordinance 2774-2018. Public Utilities Committee, ordinances 2568, 2580, 2619, 2660, and 2671-2018. Health and Human Services Committee, ordinances 2689 and 2745-2018.
Are there any questions or comments on the consent agenda? Seeing none, may I get a motion for approval? Please call the roll.
Brown, Page, Remy, Stenziano, Tyson, President Harden.
Consent agenda carries. We will now proceed with the second reading of 30-day tabled and emergency legislation. The first committee to come before council is the Finance Committee. Councilmember Brown, Elizabeth Brown chairs that committee. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Harden. In Finance tonight, we have Ordinance 2393-2018 to authorize the Finance and Management Director to establish various purchase orders for automotive parts for the Fleet Management Division per the terms and conditions of previously established universal term contracts, to author the expenditure of $1,600,000 from the Fleet Management Operating Fund, and to declare an emergency. The Fleet Management Division is budgeted to spend $4.5 million this year for parts, tires, and supplies for the approximately 6,000 vehicles and pieces of equipment that they service. More than 40,000 work orders are processed annually with more than 400 vendors to keep these vehicles and pieces of equipment operational and safe. Emergency action is being considered to ensure an uninterrupted supply of automotive parts for police, fire, and refuse collection vehicles. Any questions from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second.
Brown, Page, Remy, Stenziano, Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you, President Harden. I also have a piece in Recreation Parks. May I
Please.
move to that committee? Tonight we have Ordinance 2453-2018 to authorize and direct the City Auditor to set up a certificate in the amount of $450,000 for various expenditures for professional, architectural, engineering, and construction management services in conjunction with park, trail, and facility capital improvement projects. To authorize the Director of the Recreation and Parks Department to enter into multiple professional service contracts, to authorize the transfer of $450,000 within the Recreation and Parks voted bond fund, to authorize the expenditure of $450,000 from the Recreation and Parks voted bond fund, to waive the competitive bidding provisions of the Columbus City Code, and to declare an emergency. This ordinance will create significant efficiencies within the Recreation and Parks Department by pre-qualifying 9 firms to provide architecture and engineering services and 6 firms to provide construction management services on projects costing less than $100,000. For each project, there will be a competitive process amongst the pre-qualified firms in lieu of separate legislation to approve each contract, similar to current practice for similar public service projects. Director Collins, this is a unique project, and I'd like to ask you to please speak a little bit more about the process and how it will actually improve the services that you are able to provide.
Thank you, Chair Brown, President Harden, President Harden, members of council. Thanks for the question. We're really proud of this small piece of legislation because it's producing 2 outcomes for us. First and foremost, we're trying to improve our ability to perform and work on our construction efforts in the division. As you know, we'll be average around $50 million in construction projects in 2018. And we today have 1 inspector in that effort working on those multiple different types of projects. So this legislation will help us engage general engineering, architectural, and construction service contracts that will will help us carry out that work and ensure that it's done well and to the best of our ability. The second piece that we're really pleased about as an outcome is this is a product of our outreach efforts to increase our ability to work with multiple and different types of firms in our community, including firms that are MBE and FBE firms. We've been working with our Diversity and Inclusion Office on a really expansive outreach effort. We've hosted over 13 meetings where we've worked on educating and engaging different businesses, professional services throughout the region to help them get more engaged in the business that we do. And the product of that was we had 40 firms return proposals on the FSQ when we sent it out, of which, as you pointed out, we've selected 15 to go forward, 9 and 6, as you mentioned, of which of those 15, 7 are MBE, FBE firms. So we're very pleased at the effort that this is and what this will produce for us as an organization and allow us to serve our residents better.
Great, thank you. We have a speaker on this ordinance, Mr. Nathaniel Wilkins. If you could approach the podium, and Mr. Wilkins has submitted a speaker slip in favor of the legislation. Mr. Wilkins, you know the drill.
1612 Arlington Avenue, Mr. Nathaniel George Wilkins, the chairman, solely vacant abandoned property in North Linden there. I just want to ask two questions. When you talk about the architect and design, what does that look like? Then also, for this ordinance for $450,000, I'm in favor for it to be more money up to $595,000 due to the architect and design of that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Wilkins. Is there anything you want to add, Director Collins, on architect? You can follow up. Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Wilkins, Director Collins will follow up. Are there any additional questions from my colleagues? Seeing none, I move for passage.
Second. Please call the roll.
Brown, Brown, Page, Remy, Stenziano, Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
That is all I have in my committees.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next committee to come before council is, I apologize, returning the committee over to Councilmember Page. Councilmember Page, the floor is yours.
Thank you, President Harden. There's one additional piece in Recreation and Parks this evening, Ordinance 2652-2018, to authorize and direct the Director of Recreation and Parks to enter into contracts with 30 community agencies to provide social and nutrition services to older adults in Central Ohio during 2019. To authorize the expenditure of $6,520,000 from the Recreation and Parks Grant Fund and to declare an emergency. The Central Ohio Area Agency on Aging was awarded federal and state grants from the Ohio Department of Aging for the continuation of services to older adults in the Central Ohio area, including Delaware, Fairfield, Fayette, Franklin, Licking, Madison, Pickaway, and Union counties. The service providers were selected from proposals submitted to COAAA in 2017, and these contracts represent the second year of a 2-year proposal period. Emergency action is requested in order to have these contracts in place by January 1st, 2019, as stipulated in the grant requirements, so there is no interruption of services to our aging residents. If there are no questions or comments, I move for passage by voice.
Second. Please call the roll by voice.
Ms. Brown? Mr. Brown? Yes. Page? Yes. Remy? Yes. Stenziano? Yes. Tyson?
Yes.
President Harden.
Yes, ordinance passed.
Thank you, President Harden. If I may move to Economic Development and Small Business.
Please.
Ordinance 2756-2018, to amend the 2018 capital improvement budget to authorize the city auditor to transfer cash and appropriation between projects within Fund 7704, Streets and Highways Bond Fund, to replace funds borrowed for use on a construction project and to declare an emergency. This legislation authorizes the city auditor to transfer cash and appropriation within the Streets and Highways GO bonds in order to replenish the original cash and appropriation levels in the UIRF and NCR funds. Funds from UIRF were borrowed to pay for construction, administration, and inspection services for the NCR Wyland Park 7th to 9th Avenues project. Now that UIRF has numerous projects lined up to start construction, the earlier transfer needs to be corrected to restore funding in UIRF so that these projects can move forward. There are no additional questions or comments. I move for passage.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Page, Remy, Stenziano, Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
And President Harden, if I may move now to Judiciary and Court Administration.
Please.
Thank you. Ordinance 2771-2018, to authorize an additional appropriation of $30,000 for 2018 from the unappropriated balance of the Franklin County Municipal Court Judges Assisted Civil Self-Help Fund, to authorize the administrative and presiding judge of the Franklin County Municipal Court to enter into contract with the Moritz College of Law for $86,625, to authorize the expenditure of $86,625 from the Assisted Civil Self-Help Fund and to declare an emergency. And this evening, we have Judge Eileen Paley and Robbie Southers of the Franklin County Municipal Court Self-Help Resource Center to speak more about the program and the free services that are offered throughout the Self-Help Center. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you, Chair Page, Council President Harden, President Pro Tem Stenziano, and all my friends on council. It's great to be back here and to talk about the collaborations that we have at the courthouse and all the great things that we're doing for the city of Columbus. Before I turn it over to Robert Southers to talk about our great self-health clinic that's doing all kinds of things for people in Columbus, including helping them with landlord-tenant issues, expungement issues, I did want to make an announcement that's kind of exciting for the Franklin County Municipal Court. The United States State Department has contacted our court to ask that we send Alex Sanchez and Veronica Cravener to APEC, which is a program in Osaka, Japan, the Asian Pacific Economic Cooperation, to talk about our online dispute resolution program. It turns out that we are the only online dispute resolution program in the world, and Japan would like to learn how to do that. So it's one of the really fantastic things that Franklin County Municipal Court is doing. It's not the only first, and it won't be the last first, and we're really proud of this, so I thought I would make that announcement before I let Mr. Southers talk about our great self-help clinic. Mr. Southers.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, President Harden and members of council. My name is Robert Southers, and I'm the manager of the Self-Help Center at the Municipal Court. What we do is we help people that cannot afford attorneys represent themselves throughout the court system. We assist people with issues such as record sealing and expungement, landlord-tenant law, small claims and general claims lawsuits, and debt collection, along with many other civil issues. We help to build trust within the community and help with community education and engagement. Councilmember Page's resolution would assist us to continue that type of work. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge Paley and Robbie. There are no additional questions or comments from my colleagues. I move for passage.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Page, Remy, Stenziano, Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you, President Harden. That's all I have this evening.
Thank you, Chair Page. The next committee coming for council is the Public Utilities Committee. That committee is chaired by President Pro Tem Stenziano.
Thank you, President Harden. Tonight, Public Utilities bring forward Ordinance 2678-2018 to authorize the Director of Finance and Management to associate all general budget reservations resulting from this ordinance with the appropriate universal term contracts and process for the purchase of water meters needed for the Division of Water's Advanced Metering System Implementation Project with various water meter vendors, to authorize the appropriation transfer of $15,200,000 from the Water System Reserve Fund to the Water Supply Revolving Loan Account Fund, to authorize the appropriation expenditure of $15,200,000 from the Water Supply Revolving Loan Account Fund, and to declare an emergency. The Advanced Metering System Project will allow for centralized reading of the Division of Water's retail meters via radio transmitters and receivers, which will reduce meter reading costs, in addition to allowing for more frequent readings, provide data for analysis of non-revenue water, and greatly enhances our customer services capabilities. If there are no questions or comments from my colleagues, I move for passage.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Page, Remy, Stenziano, Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
That's all we have in Public Utilities this evening.
Great job, Chair. The next committee to come before council is the Health and Human Services Committee. That committee is chaired by Councilmember Tyson. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I have ordinance number 2744-2018. It's to authorize and direct the Board of Health to accept a grant from the Ohio Department of Health in the amount of $117,875 for the Maternal and Child Health Grant Program, to authorize the appropriation of $117,875 from the unappropriated balance of the Health Department's Grants Fund, and to declare an emergency. This project will address high rates of overweight children in Franklin County, improving adolescent health and building resiliency, and high infant mortality rates with significant racial disparities through the Fetal Infant Mortality Review Program. The public health priorities, this MCHP project will address decreasing childhood obesity, improving adolescent health, and building resiliency to achieve the best possible outcomes. Decreasing fetal and infant mortality, addressing the social determinants of health, and addressing health inequities and disparities through the provision of the Fetal Infant Mortality Review Program. The Columbus Public Health Healthy Children, Healthy Weights Program will address the measure of reducing the percentage of children who are overweight by working with child care centers to increase nutrition education, access to healthy food choices, and physical activity. HCHW is a curriculum selector for the Ohio Healthy Programs. HCHW provides training and practical strategies to establish environments and policies that promote healthy weight in children from ages birth to 5 years old. The adolescent health activities involve CHP conducting an assessment among 4 to 6 youth-serving agencies by holding bi-monthly meetings. Columbus Public Health's Fetal Infant Mortality Program is action-oriented quality improvement process that assesses and monitors and works to improve service systems and community-related resources for women, infants, and families. In 2017, the case review team reviewed a total of 48 cases. 34 were fetal and 14 infant. And of those 48 cases, 52% included a family interview. This program offers bereavement home visit, referral to grief support services, and information on WIC benefits after the demise. This team annually shares observations and recommendations with the community action team, consisting of many lead entities and stakeholders, which best determine how to address barriers to care and gaps in service. If there's no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Please call the roll.
Brown, Page, Remy, Stenziano, Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. The next ordinance, 2782-2018, to authorize Columbus City Council to enter into a grant program with Clintonville Beachwald Community Resources Center in support of the Villages program, and to authorize an appropriation of $30,000 with the Neighborhood Initiative Subfund. I am going to turn this, let Councilmember Stenziano, who is supporting this initiative, to speak on the importance of this initiative. Councilmember Stenziano, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair Tyson. I would like to invite up Katie Beaumont, Executive Director at Home by High, and Julie Rubin of AmeriCorps Vista from Villages in the Ville, representing our villages, to the podium. As I think we all are aware, as our older adult population grows, the need continues for innovative approaches for service delivery. And we in the past have supported our village movement and are doing so again tonight with this ordinance. The village movement approach to aging works not only to ensure that older adults are able to age in their home, but also in our community. And with that, I'll turn it over to Katie for comments.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Stenziano, Councilmember Tyson, Council President Harding, and members of council for having us here tonight. My name is Katie Beaumont, Executive Director for At Home by High, the village serving the Short North and surrounding neighborhoods. Villages are nonprofit member organizations created for neighbors by neighbors. They empower older adults to age in community by providing supportive services for residents ages 50 plus, primarily through volunteers. Tonight, I'm joined by representatives from our city's 2 other villages, Kristen Schweitzer of Village Connections, and Julie Rubin of Village in the Ville. The village movement is a concept that's taking off across the country. Villages connect older adults with neighbors and volunteers for services, social activities, and support, ultimately strengthening our communities. There's a gap in services when it comes to older adults, especially in our area, particularly for those aged 50 to 59 and for low to middle income residents. Villages address those gaps in numerous ways, serving adults before their health begins to decline more rapidly, providing reliable, affordable transportation, hosting social events and activities to combat social isolation, and offering lawn and snow removal services to reduce maintenance costs and fall risks. Villages also activate volunteers of all ages and build community by connecting neighbors. Rather than driving across town to help an organization once or twice, village volunteers often just walk down the street and they're able to mow a neighbor's lawn, pick up a member's prescriptions while they're already out running errands, or walking a dog if a member is at an appointment longer than expected. This grassroots approach works especially well for villages, and we've had some tremendous impact. Over the past year, the 3 villages have mentored other neighborhoods that are interested in creating their own villages. We believe in this model for neighbors helping neighbors and individualized care and support it provides to our community. However, funding continues to be a challenge, and we hope to work with the city, county, and other entities to figure out ways to grow the village movement in Columbus sustainably. We hope the city can assist villages in growing more strategic partnerships with Columbus Recs and Parks, property management companies, developers, which can often reduce operating costs and provide stable funding streams to assist low-income residents in particular. We want Columbus to be a model for the state and show the impact neighborhood-based services can have in keeping older adults in the homes and neighborhoods they love. We look forward to continued conversations with Age-Friendly Columbus and Franklin County, the city, and the county to determine ways to serve older adults. And we thank you for your ongoing support. We have many of our supporters here with us, including Cynthia Doherty from OSU's College of Medicine and the Office of Geriatrics and Interprofessional Aging Studies, and some of our members, including local artist Malcolm J. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Katie, for coming up and representing to the other villages, for being here but hiding in the back of the room. With no other comments, I'll pass it back to the chair.
Thank you, President Pro Tem Stenziano, and just thank you for your leadership with this legislation, as well as all the work on Age-Friendly Columbus. And if there are no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Please call the row.
Brown, Page, Remy, Stenziano, Tyson, President Harden.
Pass. Seeing no further business to come before council, may I get a motion for recess? Please call the row. Adjournment, I'm sorry. We finished early this evening. Please call the row.
Brown, Page, Remy, Stenziano, Tyson, President Harden.
This meeting is adjourned. We'll take non-agenda speakers momentarily. Regular meeting number 54 will now come to order. Please call the roll.
Brown, Page, Remy, Stenziano, Tyson, President Harden.
Can I get a motion to dispense with the reading of the journal?
So moved.
Is there a second? Is there a second? Please call the roll.
Brown, Page, Remy, Stenziano, Tyson, President Harden.
We will now go to the zoning committee. Councilmember Tyson chairs that committee. All members serve on the committee. Councilmember, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Before beginning the zoning agenda, I'll briefly explain the rules of council as pertaining to speaking before council on the zonings and variances. We permit 3 speakers on each side, 3 proponents, 3 opponents, and we ask that they limit their remarks to 3 minutes on each side, and we provide an opportunity for rebuttal from the applicant. On the advice of the City Attorney's Office, we ask that anyone here this evening who wishes to speak either for or against any council variance, including staff, please stand, raise your right hand, and be sworn in. I wish to tell the truth and nothing but the truth. Please answer, I will. I will. Thank you. Ordinance 2741-2018, to grant a variance from the provisions of sections 3332.025 RRR, Restricted Rural Residential District of Columbus City Codes for the property located at 40 Wahala Road to permit a daycare center in the RRR Restricted Rural Residential District. The applicant is Marialian LLC, Attorney Jackson B. Reynolds III. The proposed use is a daycare center. The City Department's recommendation is approval. The Clintonville Area Commission's recommendation is 801. If there are no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Brown, Page, Remy, Stenziano, Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you. The next ordinance is 2758-2018, to grant a variance from the provisions of sections 3353-003, permitted uses 3363.01 M manufacturing districts, 3371.01 P1 private parking district, 3371.01 C P1 private parking district, 3309.14 height districts, 3312.21 AE landscaping and screening, 3312.27 parking setback line, 3312.30.39 stripping and marking, 3312.43 required surface for parking, 3312.49 AB minimum yards of parking spaces required, 3312.53 minimum number of loading spaces required, 3321.05 B1 vision clearance, 3351.09 C4 district setback lines, 3363.24 building lines in an M manufacturing district, and 3371.02 building lines in residential and apartment residential districts of the Columbus City Codes. For the property located at 651 West 5th Avenue to permit mixed-use development with reduced development standards in the C2 commercial, C4 commercial, M manufacturing, and P1 private parking districts. The applicant is Perry Street LLC. Dave Perry is an agent. The proposed use is a mixed-use development. The City Department's recommendation is approval. Harrison West Society's recommendation is approval for 19-3. If there are no questions or comments, I move for passage.
Brown, Page, Remy, Stenziano, Tyson, President Harden.
Thank you very much. The next ordinance is 2760-2018 to rezone 15 East 15th Avenue, being 9.63 acres generally located on the east side of North High Street from East 17th Avenue to East 14th Avenue, from CPD Commercial Plan Development District and C4 Commercial District to CPD Commercial Plan Development District. The applicant is Campus Partners for Urban Development. The attorney is Mike Shannon. The proposed use is mixed-use commercial and residential development. The City Department's recommendation is approval, and the University Air Commission's recommendation is approval, 11-0. First, I move to amend. If there are no questions or comments, first of all, seeing none, I move to amend to emergency.
Second.
Brown, Page, Remy, Stenziano, Tyson, President Harden.
Amended.
Thank you, and now I move for passage.
Please call the row.
Brown, Page, Remy, Stenziano, Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. And the final ordinance and zoning this evening is 2761-2018 to grant a variance in provisions of section 3356.03 C4 permitted uses of the Columbus City Codes for the property located at 15 East 15th Avenue to permit residential uses in the CPD Commercial Plan Development District. The applicant is Campus Partners for Community Urban Development. Attorney Mike Shannon. The proposed use is residential uses. The City Department's recommendation is approval, and the University Air Commission's recommendation is approval, 11-0. If there are no questions or comments from my comments, seeing none, I move to amend to emergency.
Please call the row.
Brown, Page, Remy, Stenziano, Tyson, President Harden.
Amended.
Thank you, and now I move for passage.
Please call the row.
Brown, Page, Remy, Stenziano, Tyson, President Harden.
Passed.
Thank you. That's all I have in zoning this evening.
Thank you, Chair Tyson. Thank you, Mr. Shannon. May I get a motion for adjournment? Please call the row.
Brown, Page, Remy, Stenziano, Tyson, President Harden.
Pass. All right.